We're going to have a fire chat with Jan Baan and Barry Diepeveen. I think it's really interesting that these two people talk to each other, because let's first talk about Barry Diepeveen. He learned a hell of a lot of. He learned a lot at Philips, where he was a purchasing manager, and he learned everything about the ins and outs of the logistical side. And he worked for EY, he built his own company, and he was a partner at Baan, and now he's working at the Boston Consultancy Group. So he's going to have a talk with Jan Baan. And Jan Baan, we all know, and we all love him if you met him personally. He, after all these years, and starting Baan Software and Cordis and Vanenburg, he's still so enthusiastic and so passionate and always full of new ideas. And he is still determined to lead this transformation of IT, of the enterprise IT. He is of the opinion that it has to be flexible, you'll be able to change it. Like Marco said, you have to throw away old solutions at a certain point and then build on it. So I'm really looking forward what's happening with this talk between the two of us. Then, please ask questions. You're doing a great job asking questions, and after 20 minutes I will come in and also give some questions to this fire chat. So, Jan and Barry, we're very interested to hear what you have to say together.
Thank you very much, Vincent. That was an incredible introduction. And Jan, I am very excited to have a bit of time together.
It'll be fun, Barry.
It will be fun.
I do my utmost for you.
Yeah. Let's.
You know, you are the boss.
Let's get cracking and try and think about what we've discussed today. We've been hearing a lot of great stories. You're one of the icons of the Dutch technology industry. And I've been reflecting on some of the discussions we've heard from the ecosystem of Vanenburg. And I thought we'll have to discuss value, business value. And I thought maybe it'll be worthwhile, Jan, to have your reflection on three key domains. One is, what do we think about end-to-end business processes? Because ultimately, we can talk about technology and data and integration, as we've done today. But ultimately, we want to string together business processes. Then I want to talk about how do we lose legacy, really? We've talked about, and I've heard this, we've heard about throwing away your code, which is a big step. And then finally, Jan, I'd like to ask you your reflections around talent and culture of an organization. If we dive into business processes, what are your reflections, Jan, as we've heard the speakers of today? What do we really need to get right from an end-to-end business process perspective?
First of all, understand business processes. Today, even Portner mentioned what is a good business process is operational excellence. Yeah. But it does not exist. The highest operational excellence is SAP. With Valeo, where you have maybe one of the biggest silo, and that's it. Yeah. Now, I started again after Baan with Cordis on end-to-end business processes. Yes. And we achieved it, but it was too early. The CTOs, CIOs did not understand it 20 years ago.
What was that, Jan? Why was that? Were you too early?
Yeah, first of all, you're not fired by SAP of Oracle.
Yeah.
Second, even for your shares option plans, with your vested shares, it's not interested to do something for next quarter. Yeah. Because there is some things where you restructure the company for the future. That is the second point. And lastly, people do not understand it, because what is the real element? In Baan, we had already what we called relational data. But if you go to end-to-end business processes, data is not enough. Data has to become information. You need what we call master data. And that's what we did with SOAP those days, and we bring everything to an end-to-end business process, but in the inbound enterprise. Realize what we heard from Google have nothing to do with the inbound enterprise, is supply chain. Even supply chain does not exist with an end-to-end business process. It's not enough.
Tell me, Jan, how, like you said something very interesting. You said we need to move from data
to information.
To information. What is the biggest hurdle, Jan? Now, why have we not all seen this?
Now, we cannot handle all these, say, legacy elements. You have tens of thousands of databases. And then all these silos, you have 20 silos, different ones, CRM, PLM. Yeah. They're even overlapping the same elements. You do not have what we call entities. In an enterprise, you have maybe 10 entities, a customer and an invoice. But we have thousands of database tables and realize it is built before the internet was there. Yeah. My old Baan source code is still existing.
Yes.
The only thing we do for the internet is the UI.
Yeah.
That's the only element. And means we are so misleaded. People expect that this legacy system fits for the internet. No, sir. Because this is built in the last century. Now, second then we came to that element, we need more, we need business end-to-end business process. But now, we go one step further. What we interesting heard from Google is supply chain. But supply chain exists not. The only way to go to the supply chain is out of the gateway. Mm-hmm. Suppose that we have end-to-end business processes for Vallejo for 200 factories. Then we have to go out of the gate, follow our products. And then we go to the third layer, and then metadata becomes semantic data. Yes. And then we need, what do we need then? The task to do for the knowledge work.
What does it take to get to that level? What is from an organizational perspective?
If you learn from manufacturers, the only way to go there is manufacturing is decoupling.
Okay, what does it mean, decouple? What does that mean?
Decouple, if you build a car, no one can build a car. You will need Vallejos, you need, building a car means you have different technology waves what you are decoupling. Yeah. And you have to think smart. Now, you need the Gartner model of decoupling. Transactional systems, yeah. And then you have to integrate them with, say, system of, make them optimizing in the second layer. Yes. And then you decouple them. And then that's very simple, because end-to-end processes are moving to tasks, and that is called workflow. Yeah. Now, today workflow is linked to document management, not integrated. Yeah. Now, what we learned, what we do in Vanenburg for the third wave, we connect the workflow layer, and then not only decoupling, but manufacturing are two elements. You decouple, and the other one is late binding. If you have seen this nice slide, the first in this Google presentation, yeah. The clock was the central, but take the clock only as the knowledge worker, as the workflow. Now I can integrate in 1 millisecond here, yeah. Every IoT component. 1 second before the transaction.
It becomes a platform, really.
Yeah, but even more than end-to-end have to come one version of the truth. Uh-huh. That's the crucial point.
Jan, if I challenge that a little bit, yeah. Because I work with large corporate clients, and it feels like it's a fairly big program to overcome. How do we ensure that we get there step by step, and we don't lose sight of the business value? How do we get there?
Because first of all, you have to understand it from an architectural standpoint. Okay. Second. And crucial is data. Data moves to information and moves to knowledge and moves to wisdom. But the wisdom of the data is only on the latest point decoupled 1 second before the transaction. But still you can handle with old-fashioned legacy systems. An MRP run, if you do it once a day, on that moment it's good enough. If you decouple that, and we call it sunset, first what you do, you isolate all the silos. That's what we do, and we do it simple. We learned that in the last 40 years. You isolate the silo, and you take that silo end-to-end once a day, not every millisecond. Exactly. Second, you optimize the end-to-end operation excellence. You go to the second layer and you bring this business operations excellence. Every day you balance sheet, every day you control, and then you go to the outbound. And in the outbound, we have today edge computing. And edge computing is different from here. We take it from anywhere, every millisecond. But if you have what we call an event-driven approach, I have to understand all these elements. I have 1 million transactions from Google. I take 3 of them. And the crucial part is what we call the API, is the workflow.
Jan, if I compete as a corporate with digital natives, and they're going a lot quicker. We've just heard a phenomenal story of a digital hub, and I need to compete with some of these folks, but I'm a large corporate.
Take care.
How do I get to that point where I can continuously go to market at a higher pace? How do I do
Very good point. First, the digital enterprise does not exist.
The digital enterprise does not exist.
Those people, we learned that, those people deal with spreadsheets. People expect that a digital enterprise PDF is dead like it can be dead. Second, those digital giants are simple, they are not manufacturing. They have no legacy, Uber have no legacy costs, etc. Realize it's not something for this big enterprise where you deal. They have huge structural data.
Exactly.
Now, and that's what you do, you deal with the structured data. The only way is connect them in a decoupled standpoint in the browser. The browser is the connecting points to bring everything together. Now, today we have the REST API. That means what do you have to do? It's very simple, it's consumerizing.
Yeah.
What you do is you consumerize all those components, bring them together, and then it's simple. Then, in the old days, I worked with thousands of people building some things. Now I have 3 people, and I call Google.
Yep.
And Google brings 90% of all those components to me, consumerized with big data, with machine learning, and I need them only 1 second before the transaction in the browser. That's what we do. Then you have some elements. Still, source code exists, but try to bring them on Java, if you could, and bring them not on .NET and not .NET, but okay.
You're not a fan of that?
Oh, absolutely not. That means it's old school.
Is it old school?
Very old school. Okay. If you look Office, it's nice, but it's old. It's a SharePoint. But okay. Now,
okay.
But okay, very old school. But you bring them, what we say, first of all, in the process layer, and then you bring them to the workflow, and we have all those elements in the REST API. Now, I invested multi-millions in the beginning of this decade to make data to information in SOAP, and in a SOAP browser. Even we are so naive, not knowing that in the internet, the REST API is there for nothing. We have thousands of open source components. If you look to all those elements with Anthos, totally generation of new operating systems. Now, you have to be then clever.
And Jan, if I look at what the market dynamics show, there is this huge dynamic around low-code,
nice.
no-code platforms. If I understand you correctly in terms of your approach, you would see a very important place of these platforms into the overall transition. Is that a correct statement, or would you see this differently?
But it's big constraints. If we deal today with low-code, 90% of the problem is that we can do very fast something, but you can not do the final thing.
No.
Because you, again, locked in. And most low codes were limited with what we called the modeling part.
Yeah.
Some people generate some things, but it generated in .NET very cryptical, unreadable. Now, we learned what you do is, first of all, generate it in plain Java. Immediately 80%, 70%, and then you continue handmade, and you can do the same. But then, should you finish everything in a low-code platform and do it yourself, or can you finish it in a workflow modeling, and it's called no-code? 2 elements.
Yes.
Low-code, no-code, and decouple that. We have some low-code, Betty blocks, nice to have, but there you cannot do the complex elements. Sometimes you are more Catholic than the Pope, and you do everything in no-code, and there's a chaos in the business process underneath.
How do I ensure, when we look at what the industry is saying, is there is a massive upside around using AI at scale?
Yeah.
If I look at your components, there is a need for some form of uniformity around data and data modeling.
Yeah.
How do you integrate that particular domain in your technology modernization journey that you've just described?
We learned that in Solvay very much. What is the most crucial part? Google brings us amazing, a lot of, say, tools. But the software guys are handmade, and they are handicrafted, and they make chaos, and we see still we have these cybersecurity problems, etc. Now, what do you need is, first of all, use this Google stuff. What we did is a landing place. If you build a landing place, instead of thousands of apps and everyone goes like in the spreadsheets, everyone goes with microservice their own.
Yes.
It's a modern spreadsheet
Where
with a database.
Where do I put that landing place? Because this is becoming very crucial.
That's the most crucial part. That's what we did with Solvay.
How do I build it?
No, we built it with the Google technology on one landing place, and then everything is incorporated. CI/CD. It means continuous improvement, continuous development. Say first landing. All those is a manufacturing element. You landing 1 time for the whole enterprise on this landing place. Why should you land 100,000 times in micro apps? Now, people, in my opinion, are too much handicrafted. You see those in big organizations, they can't believe it. It's too good to be true. Every time say, it's too good to be true, I'm not fired, I do nothing. And others are not understanding. They take a microservice, but when a microservice is not integrated with your 40,000 SAP users in Vallejo,
be difficult.
It means nothing. Now, what is then with machine learning the problem? In most cases, it makes no sense. And why not? If I like to investigate the outside world with machine learning, maybe nice for gamification, but not for business. I have not to go to the outside world First, I have to take everything from inside, end-to-end data, and then machine learning. I'm not only improving or reducing my IT costs. Let me give you an example. We have a small company, 100 million revenue. And I'm saying, I'm coming to you, and you are a little innovative. You spend 3 million on IT. I can do it for 1.5 million. Then I save half the money.
It's a good job. That's a good job.
But a small company, 100 million. Maybe, what is it, 5,000 people, 10,000 people? I can increase the productivity of the knowledge worker, what Peter Drucker expected already in 95.
Yeah.
The productivity of the knowledge worker, with what Google is now offering, will increase 2 times. Then the EBITDA can double.
So you increase the value of the company.
Double EBITDA. Now, that is what CIOs
Jan,
are not understanding
today. I am a little
today.
bit embarrassed to say the following.
Yeah.
You are one of the titans of technology industry in the Netherlands, but this sounds like a very, very simple, straightforward story.
It's so simple.
Why are we not all embracing this journey? Why are we not making life a little bit too simple because I need to deal with my legacy? And the third element that I'd like to bring in there, Jan, not to challenge, but just to have a bit of a discussion, I need to be educated properly. And maybe I have been running my business in the way that I have been running it for the last 10, 15 years. How do you see the cultural change of an organization in order to embrace what you've just described?
Now, what we did even with Valeo, we worked 10 years. And we see there are examples already what we have. We did not have them 5 years ago, we have them now. And succeed. The only way is to go in, you think big, act very small. I need the first POC, the proof of concept, and deliver 5 times more than you expect. Because normally you're afraid, no, I should pick some pain points from you.
Yeah.
That means you cannot do it longer with a sales rep.
So if I hear you correctly, you say, dream big,
Yeah.
think big, but start small.
Start small.
And then overwhelm with the value.
Oh, that's what we did with Valeo. Look, they saved, we built for 250K a solution where they normally expect to pay 5 million in subscription.
Yeah.
And people cannot believe it. And it's still integrated. Now, and then we go to, because first we reduce the legacy, we sunset legacy. And don't fight too much on the deployment cost of the legacy, because first you win more on the upside, on the what we call the outbound.
Yes.
I mean, realize where is your highest value proposition.
Exactly.
People are most too stupid. They say, okay, deployment cost, but everyone do it. That means no one has still an alternative yet. It means respect legacy like it is for a while.
Based on your many years of learnings, reflections, thinking through this problem, and as Vincent had indicated earlier, you're so enthusiastic about tackling some of these challenges. When you go back to large corporates that want to engage on that change, it's still a complex set of factors that you need to get right. What is the number one or maybe the top 2 key learnings from your longer history in supporting organizations with that change? What would you call out in this?
I learned one example from the past, Boeing. When we were able to win Boeing from SAP and Oracle, the biggest enterprise in 95.
I'm sure you celebrated that a little bit at the time.
Let me say that, that was very interesting. We had a deal of 20 million, but Boeing paid us 5 billion market cap maybe. You need a market maker second. Now, 5 years ago, the CEO of Boeing was in Amsterdam, and he mentioned Scott Griffin, and I had a LinkedIn. Jan, I'm in Amsterdam, can I have a cup of coffee on the nice castle on the Vanenburg? I said, okay, Scott, that's nice, but we are not doing that. No, you cannot do it. But I have another suggestion. If you're coming, you stay, you have a very nice Vanenburg dinner, you stay overnight here, and he came. I said, Jan, I have a reason to come. Because 20 years ago, I signed the contract for these 20 million. We celebrate that. And first of all, I have a reason here. It's 5 years ago, now 25 years ago.
Yeah.
If you look, this was 5 years, 20 years ago. And first of all, I'm here to say thank you on behalf of Boeing. What you did for Boeing. But that's for me not the most important thing. Jan, thank you very much. With the relation with you, I became CIO. Now, I have so much to offer. I cannot go to a CIO and say, by me, you are not fired. But by me, you can be promoted.
So you're saying, take the lead, and drive the innovation,
and invest in yourself. Now, what we need, you've seen by Valeo, you've seen the power of Valeo, and we had a strong relation. Here is culture elements. We come on this one, trust. Yes. Can we trust each other? And maybe you learn the most from your mistakes. Because if I solve a mistake for you, you trust me even more.
Yeah. So you're saying we've talked about, and I like that a lot, and I think that's a very inspiring learning also from for the broader audience. You're saying we talk a lot about technology, we talk a lot about data, we talk a lot about integrating the two, but the human touch, the trust, and understanding how we really build relationships is maybe even more important. Or am I exaggerating?
And let me then comment, what are we doing in enterprise? And why do we have enterprises? Maybe Drucker expected in the future no enterprises, they're only knowledge workers. Means the threshold of the enterprise from the past can be bought in the future. That means maybe you are what is these disruptive elements, but okay, that means if you know, let's focus a little on the real element is the productivity of the knowledge worker on the end of the task. And so far, we're looking to what we called an end-to-end a real element to deal. But now a step further. We have, all this Google Meet, etc. Yeah. And what we're doing with Google Meet, a spreadsheet. Now, and let me say the opposite. We have not to go to Google Meet and do a spreadsheet. I can now incorporate Google Meet or Zoom with Moxtra, what we do. I built WebEx with the two guys from them. I was the biggest investor therein. My dream for 20 years was already a video meeting. It's not me going to the video meeting, but immediately I should have my video meeting, my workflow, maybe my Internet of Things is calling you video.
Jan, because that integrated approach is, I think, very much aligned, as you and I have spoken about on many, many occasions. Yeah. What is the number one set of capabilities I need in-house? Because I'm working in an ecosystem of players. You have the likes of Vanenburg, helping companies moving to the next platform. What do I need to internalize? What do I need to do as a company from a human and capabilities perspective to tap into the potential that you've described?
First of all, little guts.
Little guts. Entrepreneurial guts.
If people knew what the Vallejo people knew, maybe there was a queue here to bring me flowers. And they say, can you do it at least for me?
That quote, Jan, I will remember for a long time.
That means, let me say in this way, there's so much we can offer. But what is the crucial part what we even deliver in EVA? In EVA, we can improve the productivity of the Java developer 2 or 3 times. And the biggest problem with all these hundreds of millions apps we have to build is capacity problems. Yeah. Now, if you pay $100,000 for a Java programmer, maybe if you, with you guys, if you income maybe 200,000. Now, we can, and we do it for a course, maybe $5,000 a year. Now, then are the elements. Now, there's one element where we use our platform, but on the second element, we have with Vallejo, our project management system is now what we can sell ourselves and build them as a combination, the old Baan company. Yeah. Now, and what is then missing with the tool builders? They have no clue what ERP means. They bring the tools over the wall, and when it's becoming complex, they cannot do it because then you go back to SAP. The bespoke part. Now, I believe the unique part what we're doing is uniting and combining this stuff all together. And that was, we were not in a hurry these last 10 years. My sons, they care for the business, say that we go to at least cash flow positive. Now, was in maybe if we invest too early too much, but at the other end, in these last 10 years, we learned a lot to build this. And then we come with the culture elements. Now, for me, the crucial part is culture. And with all my people in India, they say also Jan Baan teaches us a little. First they say, we are fixing mistakes earlier than our competitors are making them. That means you have time.
You've triggered me by what you've just said, and it's not on my notes, so it's an additional question that I would ask. You've built Baan, you've built Cordis, you are now in the process of making an impact with Vanenburg. If you look back and say, this is a part where in this journey I would have done differently, in hindsight, what is some of the learnings do you extract from some of the mistakes you've made in terms of fixing mistakes earlier than some other people might even realize that they're in the process?
My biggest mistake was after the success of Boeing, changing too much naive from customer value to shareholders value. And that is the most simple part And then you focus too much only on money making. Maybe I may be more an entrepreneur than an investor.
Yeah.
I have burned my ships a few times, but it's so funny. You can start from scratch again.
You can start again. You can start.
That is not, and then what we still do, and then the attitude is still the same. The way we build the Baan shell is more or less the same we build EVA.
Okay.
We do it in the same attitude. We do it with people where I force my people and say, listen, I cannot work with you if you first have to ask your mother. And we have then a saying, as the 3 I's, we say we're dealing with, intelligent people, already problem enough. Now we hope that these intelligence people are becoming innovative, second. But these smart, innovative people are maybe a little introvert. A little autistic sometimes helps. Now, how can you make these innovative people also in initiatives?
Yes.
Now, and then the third one is then crucial, integrity. Now, and what we like to do is say, listen, delegate it, we give them all the freedom, better to ask for forgiveness than for permission. Don't ask your mother. Allow, and it's an attitude, it's manufacturing attitude. Quick mistakes, that is they call it the Baan culture, but still we continue on the Baan culture after 42 years or so. Now that's maybe the points we deal with our customers. We are not, it's not rocket science what we're doing.
No.
It's a little bill of material.
But I like that on that note of go for it, because that's what I extract from your words. Yeah. And the learnings, and I love the way that you've put it to say, when I started transitioning into shareholder value rather than focusing on the customer value, that's maybe where I maybe scratch my head a little bit. On that note, maybe we'll bring in Vincent and ask for some questions that might have arisen from the audience, and see whether we can address some of these.
Always nice with Vincent to do that, points. My friend.
Yes.
Vincent.
Hi Jan, hi Barry. Well, a lot of questions and a lot of enthusiasm, so I'll ask a couple of questions. First, a note from Jean Le Tourneau.
Oh, yeah.
This is brilliant stuff. So okay, that is nice.
Let's pause on that for a second.
That is a good start. And he loves to have some more clarification of the jump from data to information to wisdom.
Yep.
And how do you make this last step to go from knowledge to wisdom? Can you expand on this? And does it have to do with culture or artificial intelligence or machine learning? Or can you expand on that?
What is then, the question is then, who's winning? Is the sensor, is it common sense of common sensor? That's the crucial part. Now, in my opinion, is it then Google with a sensor? No, but wisdom is not a sensor. Wisdom is a human. And where is the human is my workflow. But I have all these sensors. We go to knowledge, data, to information, to knowledge. We attract all those knowledge with machine learning, and it gives me many suggestions to do my job 2 times better. And the crucial point is still the knowledge worker, that's the wisdom. It's my experience. And then if I drive, I have a Tesla car, but with the Tesla cars we have a horse for it, and then because the engine is maybe not in. Now, still, instead of the horse, if the engine is working, we go 10 times faster. But we have still our wheels already before. It means there's a lot of same elements what we did from the past.
Just if I challenge that a little bit, because if I understand the question correctly, the step to wisdom and the investments we see in the industry around AI, actually, in a way, automation eliminates or has the potential risk to eliminate significant number of jobs. You say there is still the human touch, the human element in bringing that to wisdom. How do I combine these 2 statements?
So far, say, losing jobs, we always have to be afraid that we cannot fulfill it. It means always we anticipate wrong, like the oil did already years ago, be afraid from, we don't have jobs enough. Now, the more the human is becoming more powerful, the more we have the robots, the more the human have to do on services, on new elements, disruptive elements, totally new social elements. That's what we see.
To also disrupt yourself.
Disrupt yourself, and it is not rocket science. Because it's common sense. And the perfect is the enemy of the good. Let me say it this way. I'm 5 times before you, and in the tender I'm winning not because I'm perfect. I'm more smarter, I have more information, and my common sense is making it, and I win the tender. Now that is, we make it by far too complicated, and we bring the whole world through it, and everything from the outside world. If we first...
Coming back to your step, dream big, but making small steps. Maybe, Vincent, do you have another angle of questions potentially to bring in?
Everybody wants to know a little bit more about different things. But this promise of having the knowledge worker improve productivity with 100%. Can you make it simple, because you love to do that?
Yeah.
What kind of investments need to be made, and how long does it take before you can improve this knowledge worker with 100%? Because it's just giving him more power, him or her more powerful tools. It's not to eliminate humans, it's just making the human much more powerful and giving better tools. How much investment
Big
and how long does it take?
Zero investment.
Oh.
Like we did in the past. We execute small, and the first proof of concept is delivering already ROI. That's totally different. There's no investment. There's so much old-fashioned stuff. What we even bring down, we have seen it everywhere, what we do. Immediately, that means I'm costing nothing. I only share a little from the revenue.
Is there no foundational elements that you need to have in place?
With the beautiful stuff with Google, what we see, with all those elements we can decouple. If you're thinking from nothing and we go from Microsoft and let it stay for a while and let all those legacy players stay for a while, we encapsulate them, but the crucial part is vendor lock-in. And that is where the only guarantee they're making money is with the vendor lock-in, because you have no choice. Now, what we do, we have zero vendor lock-in, and we reduce the vendor lock-in from the big vendors, from the legacy part.
Liberate the technology landscape in a way.
Step by step. Now, and that process is giving already very good service immediately for us. That I bring my money immediately with me to you. That means no cost, step and ongoing improvement. And then the beauty is, you've seen that here, if you look to Solvay, if you look to Vallejo and all those guys, what the improvement, they're making millions, what we did, with applications who are built in a few weeks, in a few months sometimes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Let's continue, because we're going to a little bit up in the pyramid of questions. Yeah. First, Maderu is saying, still impressed by Jan Baan, showing more energy than most of the founders of startups.
No, I'm still young.
Yes, you're young, but he wants to know, or she wants to know, what does still drive you?
First of all, every day a cold shower. I do it every day for already 45 years or so. It's one moment and then...
Also during this weather?
Oh, of course. Yeah.
Of course.
That's one. Yeah. Now, second, my boss is at home. That's my wife. Mm-hmm. And she even cares also a lot of stuff, but it's attitude. But you are I'm misleading you. And you say he's energetic and he's doing a lot only on this moment. And I do my utmost for all the audience over there. But when I'm on the podium, then I put my energy. But often you're not seeing that maybe I'm hiking or I'm sitting to read. I'm also relaxed a lot of time. That means you are a little over-calculating maybe my energy, although my wife is sometimes expecting that saying that I have too much energy.
Yeah, but okay. Your son, you work with 3 kids in your company, and they work together with their father, or I mean, how does that go?
No, it's a little problem.
How did they see
For
you?
years already, it's a problem. I have nothing to say, because although I'm the shareholder, and once a year I can some things. But if I find out some things with Agalia, I work already 25 years with Agalia and all the guys. If I sometimes go a little around the corner or anywhere, they do operations. Mm-hmm. Now, and I have to motivate them a little. Now, sometimes they cannot believe maybe that I can even contribute some things, coming with new stuff that I feel that this old guy have still some important elements what I learned from the past.
They run the company, you inspire them. I only have a little bit of time left, and I have one more question. Okay, you are still so excited to basically, you first created the enterprise IT. Yeah. Then you try to modify it with Cordis and enhance it. And now with Vanenburg, you combine it with platforms and reinvent it. If your vision becomes true again, and Vanenburg will become a unicorn and deliver a lot of solutions and become much more productive, how will this help solving the biggest society issues? What will it do to our world?
Why is it that I'm doing this? And I believe it's always important to see a mission in life. And a mission in life is, it's not making money, making money is nice, but having a lot of money can be a problem. What are you doing with it? Now, I have learned in the past that with your influence you can do a lot. I have, at least in India, very nice to see there 800 kids are talking and say, hey, Tataya, they call me Opa. And Tataya, we're able, if you make money and do some things and look a little outside for society. And that means it's not a drive only is in it to make your money, but how can you contribute? Mm-hmm. When I'm contributing, my shares in Baan dropped a lot, but my customers are still happy what I did in Baan. Means,
Boeing is still building planes. Boeing is still playing planes.
Still the respect, if you look a little back, what we did in customer value and more elements, don't be disturbed too much with this short element of money and what makes it for even for vested shares, etc. If you are the CEO of a big company, it could be nice then to see that you do now some things where over 20 years maybe the ROI is coming.
I really like the way that you position balance, because you've talked about your personal balance on giving energy and taking energy, but the same with the balance between customer focus and success, as well as the shareholder value that you've talked about. Jan, it's been, as always, a absolute phenomenal pleasure. Thank you very much for spending the time. Thank you very much.
Real pleased with your profession.
Vincent, thank you very much for the question.
Vincent, thank you.
Barry and Jan, this was too short. This could have gone on for an hour and a half and it would have been fascinating. That's what everybody also saying in the chat. So thank you two very much for this.
Thanks for the audience. I really respect it that I'm able also from this standpoint to give my experience to you. And I hope what I've even mentioned that all of you have the benefit for this, because it's worth to follow me in this journey. Thank you very much.